behold, a cold open. Joe, you know that for a while we struggled trying to come up with a new signature segment after the fruit tournament ended, after the Fate Wiki got boring, after we stopped having jobs that were real, so we can't do Cog Talk anymore.
We can't talk about the deranged behavior of the office bathroom. That doesn't apply anymore.
Just like, hey, you know how bad it is to look at the laptop? Well, yeah. Anyway, so we struggled for a while. Then we came up with an incredible new segment called Queen Watch. We debuted it a while ago.
I think it happened during a bunch of Queen-related news. There's a lot of Queen headlines, so it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics of what happened when we debuted it because a lot of these episodes I just forget. But I remember the vibe. Like, I remember the vibe of recording sessions, you know? And I know that when we did Queen Watch, it went off without a hitch.
Yeah.
It was like an all-timer.
And what's really crazy is that she just had a coronation. Which...
Yeah, okay.
You were surprised as I was, because I thought she already had one.
So, yeah, no, I did. So the thing about that is, Joe, like, they forgot to do it. It's like one of those, like, it's a ceremonial thing. Like, she was always the queen. It's like one of those things where it's like, technically it is illegal to drink soda pop and walk backwards in Duluth, Minnesota. It's like, yeah, that's for fun. This is for fun. Like, the reason they made that law is so that you could put it in a fun facts book. So the coronation is, like, she's been the queen. Yeah, this coronation is like, they forgot. And honestly, if you look back to, like, when did she become queen, it kind of makes sense because a lot of stuff was going on in England back then. They had the war on. That's a big headache. They had to focus on the war.
Burning through royalty.
Yeah, king after king. A bunch of kings died. I think one king just left to start a podcast with his Nazi wife. So, like, you know what actually probably happened is they had so many coronations in a row, like, they assumed one of them was for her. But, like, I think they finally figured it out. And honestly, if I was in charge, I feel like it'd be more embarrassing to, like, admit it and finally do it than to just keep pretending.
Yeah,
but,
like,
I'm
at work, if I find that I didn't do something that no one else has noticed, the correct move is to do it quietly.
Yes, yeah. You don't, like, call the news networks and be like, hello, please.
We did a big goof.
Yeah. Make sure y'all have your cameras to fucking show us, you know, making up our work late. Embarrassing. But anyway, I mean, this is classic Queen Watch stuff. Joe, did you actually watch the coronation?
No, I had some stuff going on.
Yeah, me neither. It's kind of embarrassing for Queen Watch that we didn't watch the Queen's thing.
I don't want to sound a little ignorant here, but, like, I have seen pictures of it online, and, like, who is that old bitch? Like,
okay. So I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. Because it's weird. Because I looked up Coronation 2023 just to, like, find some stuff. Because, like, I want to get a vibe. And there's this old asshole who's not the queen. And
kind of stepping on her special day.
Yeah. No. So, okay. So what it is, Joe, I looked this up. That's Prince Charles, her son. So it's actually kind of fun. Because he's getting dressed up for his mommy's special day.
I guess it's less weird then. If he has 2 scepters, I assume the queen has 3 then, right?
Yeah, she holds one in her mouth like Zorro. I mean, I'm going to have to assume I can't find any. It is really odd that a lot of these are Prince Charles. I mean, it's obvious that he would be part of it. I mean, he's her oldest baby boy. He's wearing a pretty big crown. I guess there must be an even bigger one for the queen.
That's the auxiliary one, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, where is the queen?
I don't know.
This is just Charles. Charles.
He kind of looks like shit, though.
He's so ugly.
I guess I think it's kind of rude that the sun is really eclipsing the purpose of the occasion. Like, it's the Queen's day.
Yeah. I can kind of see where you're coming from with that. But, Joe, you got to keep in mind, you'll notice if you ever become a parent, like, when you have a kid, like, they become your whole world.
Right. Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Anime Sickos. It's the podcast for geniuses and the only podcast where we take a look at the 5 pillars. 5 pillars? It's because we have 5 Patreons. We have 4 pillars of modern misery, anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I am Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I am Joe, an Anime Sicko.
Another slam dunk Queen Watch in the books. No twist. No realizations halfway through.
You know what I love about it is that it has so much more gas in the tank.
Yeah, the Queen's going to be doing new interesting things for, honestly, like, the indefinite future. Like, I don't see it ever slowing down or drying up. As I mentioned briefly, we have 5 new patrons to thank who gave us money on patreon.com/animesickos. I'm going to say their fucking names now. This first one is someone, and I've heard that this is becoming an endemic thing. I may need to speak out against this, but not yet. This is someone who pledged initially, realized, I didn't put in my preferred screen name, canceled, and repledged with their preferred screen name so that we read them twice, but for the same amount of money. Luckily, I don't really care. It's the mayor of Lucky Boy, Nevada.
Hey, I recognize that. That's a mutual. Give it up for people who found me on Twitter and then gave me $5. It's called the Joe Pipeline.
We love that. Next up is going to be Chelsea Pinkerton. I hope not from the fucking paramilitary group.
They're not just... They do everything.
Yeah, they're a one-stop shop of evil. You're not one of them, though, Chelsea, because you're cool. Thank you. Next up, this person's giving us British pounds. Oi, mate, it's Spaggy B. I'm right chuffed for your pounds.
Are pounds equal to the dollar now? I just remember, like, my entire childhood life, it was always like, England money is worth more.
I have no clue, dude. I mean, we could do a Queen Watch about this, honestly.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because her picture's on all of it. And they're never going to change it to put anyone else's picture because they would have to be the new king or queen. And that's not happening. Next up, this is an Aussie. Gives us Aussie dollars. Oi, mate. Oi, cunt. They say that over there. This is Reese Powell. Thank you, Reese.
Thank you, Reese. I like Australian dollars. I think it's a funny name for a currency. You just put Australian in front of another one.
I love Australian rules football because, if you're going to be doing that, any sport in Australia is Australian rules, technically.
Things here are a little different.
The soccer is the same, but we have a didgeridoo player in the stands. He's just going off. And finally, our latest new patron is going to be Max Silva. Thank you, Max.
Thank you, Max.
Yeah, all that money goes towards paying for the secret project. Now, here's a funny thing about the secret project. So you have to pay taxes on your Patreon shit. But then when you're putting it into the thing, it's like, did you have any expenses that were incurred?
100%. This is not a well-run outfit.
Yeah, it's just so here's the income. What kind of expenses did you have in the sort of side business that made you this income? And I'm like, I spent many thousands of dollars on the secret project. And I'm like, why don't you itemize those expenses? And I put it all in, and turns out I owed $0.
And you're probably wondering, why is it so expensive? Well, I don't want to give anything away, but we are recreating the original Fantasia, but we're in it. And it's very expensive because a lot of those guys are old or dead.
Yeah, and so, first thing was necromancy. And that was the hardest thing to sort of get to, nail down. But we got the 9 old men from classic Disney. They're all alive. I would put them on. I'd have them on as guests, but one thing that we could not get right with the necromancy is that they are all in a lot of pain, physical and emotional, because they were all in heaven, and we stole them back from it and put them in a zombie's body. So they're always screaming. And it's one of those screams that, in addition to just being loud, it makes your soul wither a little to hear it, because it's, pure despair. Pure despair.
Yeah.
You don't really hear that often.
We're not going to take a picture because, you're just going to reply. It smelled crazy in there, so it's fine.
And you'd be right. But,
it's fucking bad, man.
It's like when George R.R. Martin was like in support of the writer's strike. It's like, oh my god, you're gonna say he doesn't write. Okay, we get it. Yeah, he's slow at writing. Fine. Okay, can we move on? It's like that. Anyway, so we're doing an easy episode this week on account of last week we complained about the blood machine, which always brings down the mood. So
yeah, all those problems we had with the world last episode have since been fixed. America's back, baby.
How did it get back? They put Cult of the Lamb on 20% sale, and we both bought it.
Yep. Independently of each other. It was one of those fun little coincidences.
This is like a fucking lunar eclipse that the Sickos both played the same game. Like, this does not happen.
No, and it's really funny because then our work chat stops becoming like any conversation. We're just like saying like gameplay mechanics to each other, and we're like, yes, that is a good one. Hey, you should also combine this relic with this. And we're like, yes, that is also good. And we stop like. Actually, people would be like, oh, these are two bots. Okay.
Yeah, so like AI is really getting good. They can have two AIs talking to each other. Actually, I do see how this is going to take our jobs away. It really is just like, did you see this? Yes, I did see this. Did you choose this choice? No, I chose the other choice. Tell me how the other choice plays
The daggers suck shit, right? Yeah, for sure.
Dagger sucks shit. Okay, so let's give a little... If someone has never played or heard of Cult of the Lamb, let's give like a bird's eye view of it. Joe, do you want to take that?
I'd be happy to. I would describe this game as a bunch of spinning plates, but I don't mean that in a tedious way. You have a bunch of interlocking mechanics from various genres, which is all the rage now, and what is often sort of the anchor genre, oh baby, a roguelike. So Cult of the Lamb is about doing... There's basically two vectors of the game. There is, you are a cute little lamb.
You're so cute. I gotta say, the art style is so baby cute.
Yeah, the lamb is very funny. The animations are very good on the lamb. The lamb has like an evil spell book because you're a cult leader, and like when you are choosing what to do with something in your spell book, the look on the lamb's face as like they levitate with the book is amazing.
So your little lamb was going to get sacrificed because it was foretold that a lamb will bring forth the one who waits, and you were the last living lamb that was going to get killed by the other cults, but then the chained god in hell who you are destined to bring forth is like, I will give you my power, little lamb.
Yeah, and you get this cute little crown, which is Boji's friend.
Oh my god! Yo, it's Boji's friend from fucking Ranking of Kings. He doesn't talk. No game is perfect. You know, it should just be Boji.
Yeah.
Or no, Boji's friend. I forget what his name was.
So, this is the wonderful thing, that this is, to me, the real magic, is when there's a in-game reason for the roguelike loop. And that's because you can't die, because that damned god will just make you do it again.
Yeah, he'll send you back from hell because he lives there. Like it's like, hey, you know what? Actually, this is a lot like Hades in that it's a roguelike where it also, in addition to having a narrative reason why you come back, but it also has like an end, like the plot ends and the game's over, which is incredibly smart. But like both this and Hades, the justification is when you die, you get sent to hell, and there's a guy there who's like, all right. But again, like, we're not done. Like, I'm in charge here.
So the second vector of the game that complements the reward loop beautifully and causes you to lose many, many hours is you are managing a cult. And that's fun because the game looks like Cozy Grove. If you've played Cozy Grove, it looks like that, but, you know, like with demonic stuff sometimes.
It's very funny because it's so cute. All your cult members are also little baby cutie animals. They're so little precious and cute. And the god keeps telling you, like, remember, you don't serve them. They're there to serve you. You must take from them everything you can. And you're just like, okay, I'm a little lamb. And then you go do. So, I mean, so what Joe is papering over is that this is a game about upgrading a little town, which is the best thing in the world.
Right, and the growth engine, like the actual thing that gets you up talent trees, is devotion, which is when your people pray for you. And, buddy, you have to feed them. You got to make sure they are not shitting on the ground.
They'll shit right on the ground. You have to make sure that you're feeding them good food, because if you feed them bad food, they'll have diarrhea, which makes the funniest thing is that, like, the bad part about having too much shit on the ground is, like, eventually people start getting sick. But, like, before that, people will just be walking around the little town, see a big pile of shit in front of them, and, like, puke.
They can't do their job. They can't stop talking about it. They're like, look at the turd. It's like, you have to cut lumber.
Oh, so, okay, so the way it all works is you got your, here's the deal. You got your cult, which is your little town. You got to get devotion, and you get devotion by making sure that everybody is happy and fed, and then you take them in for a sermon, and you say propaganda to them, and they shoot they shoot love into you, and if you get enough, you get to upgrade your battle strength. Oh, then you get to go on a roguelike run, where it's like one of them action art. It's kind of like Zelda. You're hurting things, and the reason you go on a roguelike run is because you have to kill bosses to get the plot moving forward. But also, all that shit you need to do in your little town, like building a building, building an outhouse so that they can take a crap, building farm plots so that you can grow food, so that you can make food that doesn't make people have diarrhea. All that shit requires, like, stone and wood and money. And how are you going to get that shit? You get that shit when you go on your fucking roguelike action run.
Yeah, and, like, a run is literally, what would you say, like 5 minutes maybe?
10 minutes if you win. And if you lose, you still keep most of your shit, so it's not even that big a deal.
Yeah, I think something like 75% of all the stuff you pick up. For instance, one of the things you can do in your evil church, in addition to doing a sermon, is you can do rituals. And a lot of those require bones. Bones are their money. Mm-hmm. And the rituals basically let you either, like, exploit a mechanic of the game or make it, like, trivially simplistic, so you don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, there's pretty good. So you get rituals because, like, every once in a while, if you level up enough cult members to love you, the more they love you, they'll, like, level up personally. And every time they do, they give you a little bit of a 10 commandment. And if you can fulfill a complete 10 commandment tablet, you can, like, break it in front of actually it gets full of blood and it explodes in front of everybody. And then everyone agrees that your new rule is really badass. And Joe summed up the choice. And this is really the choice. Anytime a video game ever offers you a choice, it's always this. It's, hey, here's one aspect here's one of the plates. Would you like it so that just the plate is always a little easier to spin? Or would you like to introduce a trigger which you have to go out of your way to activate, but when you do, it makes the plate spin so fucking fast you won't believe it?
Yeah.
I love that choice. It's because they're both good, dude. They're both good.
They're both good. And it's also letting you play how you want, insofar as, like, well, I don't like this aspect of the management, so I'm just going to use this to just not deal with it. Fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like, for, like, the first third of the game, I basically never made food or worried about ingredients, because, like, the first thing I did was I unlocked the ritual of the feast, which is just, like, every once in a while I can just call a feast. Like, hey, everybody, we're having a feast. And everyone eats bones, and they become maximum full. Their tummies are full. So they just wait till everyone's starving, and they're like, we hate you. We don't believe in the God anymore. And I'm like, are you going to say that after this feast? And then they're like, no, we didn't. We loved the feast. No problems here, sir. You can't rely on that forever because the cooldown on it is, like, too long eventually. But, like, that is a really good way to coast through a lot of the early game.
Most importantly, it stops, like, a catastrophic failure from, like, a food issue. And also them dying is whatever, because you get the ability to bring people back, and also they're disposable. Like, so
yeah, okay.
they are individual. Like, I'll be honest, Tom. When I started playing, I was like, I'm not going to sacrifice anybody. I'm going to be a good guy.
Yes. Yes, me too. And okay, so this is a hilarious thing that happens a lot with games, which is like they offer you these choices that, in order to make an informed choice, you need context that at that point in the game you couldn't possibly have. Like so much stuff about like, yeah, like, do you want a ritual for, killing a follower? I'm like, why would I ever kill a follower? The followers do jobs for me. The followers generate faith, and I need that. Like, I want to keep them all, obviously, idiot, moron. And what I didn't realize until after I had made a lot of choices where I sort of said like, oh, I'm going to poo-poo on all these things that, benefit me when people die. They're never going to die. Is I realized that they age and they get old. Oops.
So if you're not killing these guys, you're leaving money on the table. There's actually a card perk you can pick that like penalizes you if old people die of natural causes. Like it's like they are a resource. You gotta make sure they pop.
I in my playthrough I picked that one, and it was just like anytime someone got old, I'm like, oh, you gotta die, and I would sacrifice them as soon as possible. So I had 3 ways of killing. I could sacrifice people, which gives me a ton of faith. I could ascend them to heaven, which
makes everyone else level up.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, actually, this is a good cult. It's not scary. That guy didn't get sent to hell like half the people who die. He got sent to heaven. I'm happy. And then the third way I had to kill people was the ritual fight pit, which is perhaps the funniest of the rituals.
What's very good is that when you are offered that, the other choice is marriage. I picked a marriage, and it was funny because I thought marriage was I'd be marrying two like members of the cult. I didn't realize you like marry your subjects like a Jim Jones thing.
Oh, you marry? Okay, they all marry you. Because I'm like, that's how cults work. So you all fuck the leader.
Correct. Yeah.
The ritual fight pit is very funny because you pick 2 people, and they have a ritual fight, and everyone crowds around in their little cultist robes, hooting, hollering, and the 2 guys you pick are in the middle of the circle, and they begin their fight. And because they're like little stubby, cutesy cartoon animals, the fight is like they both turn their head away and close their eyes and do a little slap, like their little nubbin arms just wiggle and make slappy sounds, and one of them falls over, and you can choose to spare them or kill them. If you spare them, like it ends up being like only a minor faith bonus, but if you kill the person who loses, everyone's like justice, and you get a ton of faith. The issue is this is the way I used the least to kill my old people, because whoever wins the fight is totally random. It's just a coin flip. So half the time I would have an elderly person I needed to kill immediately fight a young buck, and like they would win.
And the old guy gets a lucky cut.
Exactly. And then I would have to spare the young person. I'd be like, damn it.
Well, I want to talk about my first choice too, like when I gave up on not sacrificing.
Yes.
The game introduces the concept of people rabble-rousing, dissent, people not like loving the cult anymore. So what can happen is someone can become dissatisfied with the cult, and they have a megaphone, and they go around and they're like, I hate the cult. It sucks. And obviously that hurts other people's faith. It's annoying, etc., etc. So the game gives me that to kind of show me it's happening. And at the same time, it's like, when it's time to sacrifice a villager, it could be anyone. Like, it could be someone who's giving you trouble. And it's just like, oh, I see what's going on.
I never had any dissenters. And I wonder, like, I would see, like, the options that would, like, deal with dissent. And, like, one of the buildings you can unlock is prison, where you put dissenters in jail.
Yes. And you have to re-educate them. You have to go over to their little stockade self, and you read them the 10 Commandments, I guess.
Yeah. I also love that. I mean, this is not sort of related, but I love that one of the things you can unlock, because there's like when you talk to your villagers, you can also always tell them to do something. Like if they're sick, like go to fucking bed, or if they're starving, like eat. They'll generally do it automatically, but you can force them to do it. But you can also give them a specific job. But you can unlock other actions, and one of them is tithes.
Oh
so
my
you can
God.
unlock the shit where just like every day you can walk up to anyone and be like, give me fucking money, and they have to do it. But I didn't get any dissenters. I wonder if the difficulty setting has something to do with how easy or hard the cult management plate spinning is, because
I'm going to take the blind guess that one of the ways in which the higher difficulties are harder is every single of the 3 resources, I'm sure, degrades quicker. I'm sure that's just what it is.
it must be. But the thing is, I ended up having to put it on medium difficulty because I was getting a truly nightmarish string of runs in the roguelike action part of the game, where the weapons I were being given were gauntlets and daggers only. Can we talk about the gauntlets and daggers and pretty much all the weapon types, actually?
Yeah, let's kind of just take a look at like the action aspect of the game, the video gaming part. There are 5 weapons in the game. We played this after the DLC came out, like the old Relic DLC. I don't know if they added weapons or what, but
I don't know if they added weapons, but dude, heavy attack apparently was not in the base game, which
that's okay. So that's kind of deranged to me because like the action part of the game is very light, and like without the heavy attack, it almost seems too light.
Mm-hmm. And also, I mean, I sort of insinuated that gauntlets and daggers, 2 of the 5 weapon types, are unusably bad and insta loses if you get assigned them, and I stick by that. But like, the only thing that makes the dagger not just like kill yourself immediately, like why even try? The only reason that you could ever win with the dagger is the dagger's heavy attack, which is just a big line of ghost daggers fall from the sky in a line in front of you.
Yeah, and each dagger can be an instance of damage. So yeah. The dagger is supposed to be fast, and it's only like a little bit faster than the sword, which does not suck.
Yeah, the sword is good. The dagger has like 1 pixel of fucking range, and also it moves you forward with every attack. So there will often be times when, by the time before an enemy's dead, you've like walked behind it because you've attacked and moved forward so much, and it's just like this is a nightmare. I hate this fucking dagger. Gauntlets similarly have no fucking range, and their gimmick is that like the last hit of a combo is super strong, but all the other ones are weak as hell. And so what I hear is weak as hell, and yeah, that's how it ends up being.
It's not good, but the hammer's really good. The hammer is so fucking fun. It's a Monster Hunter hammer.
Yeah, every normal attack with the hammer is what the sword's heavy attack is, which is to say a big crosshair appears on the ground and you wait like a second for your guy to go pow, and it just whips shit, dude. It's so good.
And the heavy attack is the King DDD thing where you charge up the hammer and then you walk forward until it's party time.
I gotta say that as fun as the like actual like action part of the game where you fight is, and it is fun, there's a good level of enemy variety between the different environments, and the bosses are pretty fun. I really cannot get over how 2/5 of the weapons you get are just bullshit. And this is not like Binding of Isaac where you're constantly getting like new weapons offered to you. Like you get a weapon offered to you when you get 1. You don't get to choose. Like, this is your weapon this run at the beginning of the run. And maybe you'll get 1 option midway through, but it's not guaranteed. There have been many fucking times I get given a shitty dagger, and that's it.
Yeah, the one thing you can do to mitigate that is there's like a perk or some sort of upgrade you can get where you pay money to randomly grab a weapon from your last run, which that's still a huge random element, you know, and that's not great.
Yeah. Actually, this game sucks. Did you have this occur? Did you have this experience where you get to a point with your cult where it's running like a well-oiled machine? You've unlocked all these prestige buildings. You've built all these badass buildings, and you're getting a bunch of resources and efficiency from them. And basically, when you go to your cult, unlike before when you were really in the shit and you were spinning the plates and having a great time figuring out what needed to be done to keep the cult above water. Now you're just like, everything's taken care of. I don't need to pay attention to this. I had that happen to me when there was like 4 bosses left to kill, and I'm like, uh-oh.
I think I was like really dragging my feet on the third world. Like, I could have continued further, but I went back for more little management things. And then I just blew through the last zone. Let's talk about the 4 environments. These are very good environments, video game wise. First one, forest. Good.
Perfect.
Standard. Wonderful.
Classic.
Second one, mushrooms.
Mushrooms. Classic.
Third one, swamp.
Swamp. Classic. Very wet froggies in this one.
The fourth one, spiders.
Okay, this is actually great. It goes to what we were talking about with Monster Train. What makes Monster Train so good is because, like, who lives in hell? Demons, wizards, like plant people, the classics.
A buff shark.
You need one wild card. And in Cult of the Lamb, it's spider. And in Monster Train, it's candles.
Yes.
I love this spider world. The spider world is so fucked because, like, I spent like a dumbass amount of time before I realized what was happening, which is if you go to the spider world, you can look at the top of the screen and there's a bunch of like disgusting egg sacs hanging from the ceiling, and like midway through clearing the room, they'll hatch and then there's more bad guys in the room.
Yeah.
It took me a dummy long time to like look up and see the very clear animations telegraphing that this is happening. And I was just like, it's broken. What's going on?
You were getting scared of peekaboo. Like, you couldn't look up to, like, you saw guys coming from somewhere. You just didn't need to investigate.
Yeah.
That direction.
I also told you that it took me an embarrassingly long time to realize that time was passing throughout gameplay.
Yeah, actually, it took me, well, not as long as you, of course, but it did take me a moment to realize that's what kind of really makes the whole thing go. It's, as you are action rogueliking, your cult runs, time passes, there's a schedule.
By which I mean, they're hungry, they're shitting.
They're puking at the shit. They are calling other people to look at the shit. They're explaining how they're upset with this shit. They're so upset with this shit that you have to put them in prison.
Yeah.
All those things happen while you're playing. And, like, the days are pretty quick. They don't really matter. Like, because, like, the only thing that happens is they sleep, like, 20% of a day is nighttime. Like, whatever.
Yeah. And you need to have enough beds for everybody or else they lose faith because you obviously don't have your shit together as a leader. And also every day, you can only do one sermon a day. Like, your sermon is your big... like, give me the goods time.
You can do a sermon at night, but they hate it because they're sleeping. Like, you like wake everybody up to be like, all right, I got some words.
Oh, here's another thing. We talked about how they puke at the shit and start saying seditious things because they saw poop. So this is kind of a mechanic that isn't as central to it as I would have hoped, which is that the people that you recruit to your cult all have like random upsides and downsides. Now, I thought that this would be something that I could like min-max, and like if someone really likes digging a hole, I could put them on hole digging duty or something like that. Or like this person generates extra devotion. Oh, they'd be great for praying. I'm going to make sure they're always praying. It turns out most of the time you can just ignore that shit completely, and especially because there's like you can get like 20 like 15 20 guys in your cult, and there's no like menu for calling them up. Like, if you want to talk to one, you have to find him, like literally, like go around, like, where the fuck's the little alligator man? And like how am I gonna know that I want to see the alligator man? I don't fucking care. Anyway, so it ended up not really being a big deal. However, one of the upsides that they can have is that they're fucking freaks who love shit. And like these people, when they see a big load on the ground, they like get happy and their loyalty
goes up. They love you more because you brought them closer to shit. And also, if they get sick, their face look like that's the thing. If they get sick because of the turd, they love it, and their faith goes up.
There's another mechanic that really is not very useful at all that you get like a quarter of the way in, which is your god is like, I will, in order to help you better exploit your cult subjects, I will give you the ability to read their minds. So you can go up and read their minds at any time. And it's basically just like, you know how in Roller Coaster Tycoon...
I was thinking the same thing. I want to get off Mr. Bones' wild ride.
Yes. Like they'll just have little like bullet points that are being generated as they encounter certain situations. That's what reading their minds is. I read one dude's mind just because I was like trying it out. And he was a poop freak. And I was reading through his fucking things. It's like, I had a sermon. I went to the sermon today. It was great. We had a ritual. It was so much fun. And the next one is, today I saw some poop. What a great day. It's like, yeah, that's me when I watch anime.
Sometimes the cultists will come to you with like quests. They're like, here's a little task that would really make me love this whole ordeal more.
Yeah.
And one of them is like, I want to eat a bowl of shit. Like he was like, hey, I know this is weird, but can you make me eat a bowl of shit? I need it. I actually didn't do that one because I was like, this is too much of a sex thing for you.
I did it for the person who was like, I deep down I've always wanted to eat a bowl of shit. Can you make that dream come true for me? I did it for them. Then someone else came over and was like, hello, me and the boys were thinking of pulling a prank on so-and-so. Can you make them eat a bowl of shit? And I'm like, now that I won't do. Like, I'm okay with killing you people because it benefits me. But I'm not going to trick someone who doesn't want... If you're eating a bowl of shit in my cult, it's because you're a fucking sex pervert, and that's all that'll make it work for you. There's no tricking. There's
that
no
is
pranks.
not a top-down decision.
Yeah. There was one... This is very funny. I wonder if this is scripted or if it just happened to be this way. Every once in a while, someone will be like, hello, thank you for recruiting me into the cult. However, my brother is still lost in the level... You know, in the fighting part, he's lost there. I would love it if he could be reunited with me and we could be part of the cult together. And so you're like, I'm gonna go. I'm going on a run. You go on a run, and there's like you can find the little path that takes you to like the new follower zone and the new followers.
There's a little
brother.
Slay the Spire map.
Yeah. Where it's like this, you can follow branching paths, and different paths will have different fucking rooms that'll give you specific stuff if you need that. Anyway, you get the guy's brother, and the dude's like, oh my god, thank you. You've solved my quest. Here is a part of a 10 commandment tablet, because I love you
Here
so much.
Here are 3.3 commandments.
Yes, exactly. And then, so like an hour later, I've been playing the game a while. That same little guy comes up to me and says, man, I hate my brother. This fucker sucks. Can you kill him? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah.
If that is scripted, I didn't notice it. That's awesome.
It's so good.
Did you use the missionary building at all?
I did it just to try it out. And what Joe's talking about, yeah. There's this building that you can go to, and you can assign one of your cultists to go on a quest. Like, they go out on a run.
It reminded me of, like, the Palico stuff from Monster Hunter.
Yeah, and much like that, I don't care about it and don't want to do it. Because, like, you send them out, and they have a chance of dying. So, like, they can die and give you no benefit. And they're also gone for a full day. So that's, like, a day of work that isn't getting done. And the upside is they might come back with like a small amount of the resource you want them to look for.
Yeah. My issue with it just mechanically is like by the time you have people to spare to go on missionary missions, like you don't need any of that shit anyway. But what is really funny is, yes, Tom is right. There's a chance you could die. I like the first time I used the missionary thing, you can send multiple people at once. And then when they came back, I was like, hell yeah, that means they didn't die. And then you talk to them, and if then they die.
Yeah, they're like, sorry, buddy, couldn't find anything. Anyway, bleh.
So that was a cute little choice. I like that.
It's very funny.
I did not use that building beyond that.
Yeah, did you ever use the demonic summoning circle?
No, that shit kind of sucks.
It blows such shit. What does it do, Joe?
So there are demons you can summon in this game, but they're just kind of like faces that float behind you.
They do. I mean, when you go to the summoning circle, they have like effects written down, but man, they are very minor. They really don't do shit. And fucking like, in order for the demon to be summoned, it has to be summoned like through the body of a cult member. So like, if you want to summon 2 demons, 2 cult members are getting changed into demons, and the price of that is like, after you come back and the demon leaves them, they're exhausted and they have to sleep for an entire day. And so it's okay. Basically, you have some help on your action video game run, but you lose a day of work from the people. It's fucking useless. I never used that shit. I used it like twice. And I'm like, this is the best it gets. Because I was using like my top guys who were like level 10, level 11.
But you're supposed to, because it like the strength of the follower affects the quality of the summon. So like that's intentional, and that also sucks. Like what I did is I used like my top guy, and then I immediately like revived him or something. I don't remember. But it was not worth it. They just patched something that happened to me, which is, for whatever reason, you get double the amount of demons and everything. So I did 3 summons, but for my final fight with the 5th god, spoilers, would you believe the god that's making you do all this is also a boss?
Yeah.
And the bug or whatever is it just doubled my demons, so I showed up with 6. I had 6 for no reason. That would be cool if they were useful. And they're not. They like there's one that shoots arrows. There's one that like bumps into guys and does damage. There's one that like will leave the room and come back with a heart. Whatever.
They're all lame. It's so bad. You know what? It's very funny how we were both like so into this game. We were like loving it, having a great time. And now that we're talking about it, it's all like, you know what the problem is with this game? Is that it sucks. It doesn't suck. Although I will say that the curve of learning new buildings to getting fucking enough resources to build new buildings is fucked. Because like, you know, when you first start your little town, there's trees and rocks around, so you can get wood and stone from like, hey buddy, cut that down and break that rock up. But that dries up very quickly, and the new ways you have to build a lumber yard or a stone mine, which is just a little hut where someone goes in and they generate fucking wood, and eventually it falls apart because it ran out and you have to build another one. And like, there was a fucking big section of the game where I was continually getting enough prayer points to like learn about new buildings. But I'm like, man, I barely have enough fucking wood to build, you know, the next lumber yard when the first one falls over. And then by the time I was swimming in fucking resources, I didn't need to build anything because shit was like locked down. Oh, you know what? Actually, here's what made my shit locked down. These 2 rituals. I don't know if you got these. So one was in the money. There's like 5 categories of like rules you can make, and one of them is all about money. Rules about money. And so one of the rules was that I can call a ritual of you give me your money.
I had that one. That rules. So many coins go into you.
Dude, okay, so so you get like 3 coins when you clear a room. When you beat a boss, you get 15 coins. So if you were to do a full run and just kick ass and not die and do everything perfectly, you're coming home with like 60 coins. I called the ritual of give me some coins once. They gave me 600 coins. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm set.
Like, that's how money happens now. I don't need to worry about the action part.
The other ritual that made me set is there is a, like the ritual of this bounty of the sea, where everyone goes around and they think about fucking squids and shit. And for 2 days, you have the bounty of the sea, which means you can travel to these little sub areas that mostly have shitty mini games that no one would ever do. But one of them is fishing. And when you have the bounty of the sea, a bunch of things changes. One, there's just a jillion more fish silhouettes, so that no matter where you cast, someone's biting immediately. So there's no waiting. It's a total efficiency operation.
The fishing is quick, which is crucial. It's crucial. It's like 100 times faster than Animal Crossing.
Oh my god, you know what it is? It is the exact same what's the word? It is the exact same mechanic fishing wise as Stardew Valley, except instead of being like utter bitch mode where it kills you and punishes you like Stardew Valley, where it's extremely difficult and the fish is jumping all around and you can lose all your progress just in like 2 seconds.
It's very generous and forgiving.
It's so forgiving. Like you don't even have to be looking half the time. Anyway, the point being, because of this, because you get a bite instantly and reeling them in is very easy and fast, you're catching fish constantly. The two other things the Bounty of the Sea gives you is the rarity of the fish is bumped up, so you're catching better fish, and then also the number of fish that you pull in per catch gets bumped up. So what you do, Joe, is you go to the fucking sea with this shit on, you spend 2 days fishing, and then you go home and you see that in your recipe book is the delicious fish dinner, which refills everyone to full. Anyone who eats it refills their tummy up to full immediately, and also they shoot out resources, and also they were so happy about eating the fucking fish that their love of you goes up. So I can just go back after getting a fucking jillion fish, make 10 of those, and I'm like, and food's fucking set for a week.
So I picked, instead of the Bounty of the Sea, I picked the one where they love eating each other. Where if you feed, there's a one of the recipes is just called like the minced follower meat meal or something.
Yeah, because when you sacrifice people, in addition to getting a bunch of like power from hell, you get a couple pieces of follower meat.
Of follower meat, and to quickly address, the ascension ritual is like someone floats up into heaven. But at the end, like, their blood and guts still fall down. It's amazing.
So wait, what happens when you feed them each other? I mean, I never did this, obviously.
They don't get sick. No one pukes because they love it. Their loyalty goes up, and I think their faith goes up. And it is, like, not as filling as the delicious fish meal, but it is a good meal for sure.
That's wild. Because they believe that the dead is part of them still. It's actually not cruel.
The other reason I kind of liked it is there are a lot of buildings that are like just corpse management.
Yes.
And this basically allowed me to not have to worry about that so much.
I mean, I only had to dig 2 graves all game because anytime someone got old, I just had them murdered. It was great.
That's Logan's Run, right? Like their crystal started glowing.
Yeah, I mean, like I had that doctrine, which is just like if someone dies of old age, like it's seen by the cult as like a failure of leadership, and it's like no one is supposed to die of old age. Like that can't happen. You have to get killed. That's the noble way to die. That's how you go to hell to meet our God. You get killed. Actually, I'm coming around on this. This game's really good again.
So I think the magic behind this game is that all of the individual systems aren't very robust, and they would not be very good if they were standing on their own. However, there's just always like another thing to do that, and this is key, not overwhelmingly complex. If I would compare the management of this versus something that I found very tedious, which was Oxygen Not Included, which is like a 2D game where you are like doing a space station, but you have to like manage like oxygen and gases in realistic ways. And once like I got to that point where I had to start doing filtration systems and shit, I was like, no. This game rules because there's no like maximum complexity like that. You can just easily bounce between the various things.
You know what? It's very much ActRaiser or ActRaiser. No, it's not ActRaiser. ActRaiser for the SNES, which I played on the Anbernic a while ago, which is the exact same fucking thing. It is a god game where you are looking at the world from above and telling the humans how to build their little town and upgrade their little town, and then every once in a while there's like a new frontier where it's like there's too many monsters, humans can't build a little town here, and so you have to come down in like a godly body on Earth and do a little side-scrolling hack and slash level and beat a boss, and then it's like now humans can build here, and then you go back to being, you know, a top-down telling people how to build the town. And much like Cult of the Lamb, if you were to chop that in two and sell each one on its own, those would be dog shit games that are zero fun, because both of them are like shitty versions of what they're offering. However,
as soon as you get tired of the town management, you have to do some jumping and slashing.
Like, putting them together is not additive, it is multiplicative. Like, it is exponentially more fun than they are on their own. And I think that is the key here with Cult of the Lamb. And also, I don't think we are fully giving the art style its due. It is a huge reason of how fun. It is a huge reason of why it's so as fun as it is. And I know it's very sort of like Reddit-y and like lowest common denominator to be like, the game is dark and cult-like, but everyone is very cute. Well, here's the thing, folks. Sometimes that baby basic shit works. It works here. What can I say?
Yes, everyone is cute, but they do not pump the brakes on like the occult imagery, like the little lamb will float and bleed from the eyes a bunch, like shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other element is everything is 2D. Everything is like a story pop-up book look.
Yeah.
Which I think accentuates like the cuteness.
It's really cute. I love it. Even the evil gods, because like they're really fucked up. Like they're gross, and like there's some like see no evil, speak no evil, think no evil shit that like is I didn't really grasp fully. What
but there's like 5 of them. So what?
But like each of them has some like part of them missing to indicate like one of them like literally has their brain removed, and like so they're really grotesque and goopy, but like they're still cute. Like I like it.
Yeah, and then of course when it's time to fight them, you get to see them transform, which is cool.
Yeah,
some very good monster design.
You know, okay, so we spoiled the fucking the final boss is your god. Would you believe it? When your god is the only god left, he's like...
If you're playing a video game and there's a guy helping you at the beginning, guess what? That's the fucking bad guy. Everything is BioShock.
I mean, he was... At the end, you go to meet your god, and he's like, all right, now you're my final sacrifice, and then I'll be back. And are you going to come quietly? And you say no, obviously, and you fight. Were you like shocked at how fast and easy the final boss was? Like the last 2 of the 4, like the 4 bad bitches, like the main guys, like those last 2 ones, I had a much harder time defeating than the final fucking boss. I could have sworn that he would have another phase after that phase, because like the last phase where he dies, like his big disgusting head is like in the background invincible, and he just shoots out 3 floating eyes that float around and shoot beams and shit, and like when you kill all 3 eyes, he just goes bah and dies. I'm like, that's it? This was just your eyes, buddy. You don't get any more fighting you?
Yeah, I was really overpowered by the time I did this, so I don't know if that was... Like, my baseline is all fucked up. It was easy. I was most surprised by... I was kind of expecting... So you unlock these doors, 1 for each god, and Tom had just said you go through the 5th door. I thought there was going to be a level.
Me too! I swear to fucking God!
There isn't. It's just a hallway, and then you start the fight.
Yeah. Really disappointing. Still a good game. I mean, here's the real thing. Here's the real reason the game is so fucking good. It's done in 15 hours. Like, you're done. No, and it feels like, okay, that's it. I'm not going to get tempted to bring it back. Because a lot of these games, you're like tempted to, well, maybe I'll play more. Maybe I'll do some post-game. With this one, it's just like, no, we're done. And it, like, honestly, a game that just, like, lets go of you is so, I respect it so much, because like the best practice now is like we have to addict our customers. We have to exploit their brains.
Yes. It's a really just the right amount of time for a fucking game. I just got my money's worth, and I could see myself playing through it again, but not like playing that same file for more shit.
I would want to play it on like hard mode, because I want to see if the actual cult management becomes engaging the entire time. If it is impossible to get to that level of like everything's on autopilot, don't worry about it anymore, put it out of your mind. Because like that, once it's on autopilot, it's like if half of ActRaiser was just gone. It's just like, oh, this part's not so good actually if I just look at it. But the thing about that is I'm afraid to put it on super hard because and then any run where I get the dagger or the gauntlet, 40% of all runs are just like, oh, we're done. I'm just going to die. I'm going to let the first room full of enemies kill me because we're done. Nothing's happening here.
The gloves really suck. They're so bad. But there's another mechanic that I'm curious how you chose. Basically, all the little side shit in the game, you can get chunks of like a medallion, and that medallion can be exchanged for a different outfit. And the outfit has like different passives. Like they're very different. What did you choose or stick with?
So I picked initially the one that gives you 4 tarot cards at the start of every run. Tarot cards all have little benefits. Generally, you'll find a guy who will draw 2 and you pick 1, and you can find somewhere later. Getting 4 in one run is very unlikely. So just starting with 4 is almost always a good idea. But I ended up changing to the Golden Fleece, which makes you take double damage, but every time you kill an enemy, your weapon's damage gets multiplied by 5% more. So you kill 20 enemies, your weapon's doing twice as much damage. Maybe it's 10%. I don't remember. It's 5 or 10. But you kill 20 enemies, your weapon's doing plus 100% damage. You do that again, it's plus 200. There is no upper cap. And if you are using a hammer, which already starts as a crazy amount of burst damage, well, Joe, would you believe that you can get to a point where you can open a boss arena and you have something like 300 extra damage, and you hit that hammer down on the boss, and that's half its health in one hit. So I would do that. Of course, the downside of that is if you ever get hit because like there was an enemy you didn't see because it came out of a fucking cocoon on the ceiling or some shit, it really feels like no. But I mean, you just go back to base. It's not like you do less damage than before. So I really was into that one. I left behind the tarot card one for that.
Yeah, I picked the tarot card one the whole time, just because 4 cards is good right at the start. And the downside is you can't get any more, but it's like you would never get more than 4 anyway.
I'll willingly give up like the 5 tarot card runs because those are the anomaly. I'm very much more likely to get 2 or 3 only. So fucking don't care.
Right, and also tarot cards can, I guess, have a chance to be drawn like powered up.
Yeah.
So like when I did my final boss fight, what made this even funnier was there's like increase attack speed card, and I got like the super upgraded version, and I had the hammer, so it effectively made the regular attack have like no animation. It was just like I look at something and then a crater forms, and it just like made everything trivial.
Yeah. Joe, can I talk about? We're pretty much out of time. I want to talk about another game that is 11 hours long, and then you're done. I don't have a ton to say about this one because I don't want to get too into the specifics, because getting into the specifics can kind of ruin the experience or at least cheapen it a little. But I do want to talk about it because of how good it is. Can I talk about Tunic to you for a little bit?
Yeah. That game looks so fun. Like the aesthetic.
It is a cute little like Playmobil looking ass world where everything is isometric and you are a cute dumpy little fox Link. You look like fucking Link. It is on purpose. This is a Zelda. Like, it's Zelda, folks. It's a Zelda game. However, here are the things that are interesting about it. Number one, it's a Dark Souls also. You have a dodge roll, you have bonfires, and every time I bring it up, Joe has this great habit where he'll learn one fact about something, and then anytime that thing is brought up, he will wrench the conversation back to that thing, regardless of how many times it's been discussed in that same company. So if I say Tunic, he's like, I hear that game's really hard. Kind of. I mean, it's like a Dark Souls, but it's not that hard. I mean, like when there's a boss, you're probably gonna fight that boss like 4 or 5 times, but it's not like crazy. It is a Dark Souls, however. You know, every time you fucking fight guys, you get little doodads. If you die, you lose your doodads. You need your doodads to make your stats go up. Okay, it's a Dark Souls. Other thing that makes it interesting is that because it is like an isometric like Playmobil world, a lot of the puzzles are based around like the camera angle, like stuff that is behind a corner. And like you have a lock on that like lets you fight better, but you can press the lock on button at any time. When you lock on, the camera like lurches up, so it's kind of looking straight down at you, which lets you get a peek around corners sometimes, and then you can solve a little puzzle. There are some places where like, you know, the classic Dark Souls like map design jaw-dropping moment is where you've been like exploring for ages and you kick a random ladder and you're like, what was that ladder? And you go down the ladder and you're like, oh my god, that connects to here. So this game does something like that at one point. And Joe, it is like so stupid easy that like, oh, they were allowed to do this all along, that when you see it happen, you get kind of mad at how smart it is, which is the stairway to the other world was there the whole time. It just is behind the corner of the big wall. So like you can just walk, like there's a big like fucking building thing. And if you walk to the right, you're just going to start going down a staircase and you'll go to another level that you're not supposed to go to technically for like it's like sequence breaking to go there, but you can. Like, and I'm like, oh my God. It just is, the camera just doesn't see it because of the angle. So I think that's very funny.
This was the entire gimmick of the Wii Paper Mario, because that was the one where they got away from the turn-based combat, and it became like a platformer with tons of what you're describing. Obviously,
yes, like perspective puzzles, because you could turn 2D and you could also be 3D. It's exactly that.
Yeah.
So, it's a Zelda. It's a Dark Souls. It has funny camera angle perspective puzzles. Here is the thing, though, because those are all good, and like it is a good Zelda. Like if it was just a Zelda, I would say buy this. They do a good job. There's really good dungeon design, and the boss fights are really cool, and you have a few really interesting magic items that you can use in addition to your sword. Strong Zelda. Here's the thing that makes it really good, is that one of the collectible items that you pick up throughout the game is pages of the instruction booklet for the game Tunic, which you can look at in-game. And the game Tunic was developed in a fake language that is not English. Apparently this is a fucking script that you can decode and translate. You don't have to. You have to be a huge nerd to do that, but you could. If that sounds interesting to you, you could do that here. But like a Japanese game, there are occasionally words in English. So you're picking up these pages of the instruction book, and it's telling you how to play. It's telling you context or what's going on. Because the game starts, there's no context. There's no opening cutscene. You're just a fox waking up in a place. You don't know what the fuck's going on. And so you're picking up these instruction booklets. Now, my initial thought was, because I had heard about the instruction booklet thing being such a fun mechanic and so interesting and such a like cool sort of like deduction puzzle, because like you have to like, what is this page trying to tell me? Because it's not in fucking English. And it's like, it's supposed to, people would sell it to me as like, it's like the feeling of playing a game that never got a translation to English, but you're trying anyway. And part of the puzzle is figuring out what's even going on. And I'm like, that sounds cool. I initially was so disappointed because I thought I had gotten oversold, because a lot of that shit is in English, a lot more than people would see, a lot more than it suggests when people say that shit about like, oh, it's a deduction puzzle. For the first like third of the game, every single fucking instruction booklet page you got, basically, it may as well not be in another language. It's just like, here, there's the bullet points, the shit that actually matters that you need to know to play the game. That's all in English. And then there's a bunch of fucking fake letters that, like, it's fluff. And it's like, oh, that's not interesting. Like, this is just fluff. Like, I don't need this. Why would I care about this? But I was wrong, Joe. I'm going to try to give you some tidbits on how fucking cool the instruction booklet gimmick gets without spoiling something. There is a plot twist, such as it is, midway through. I didn't see it coming. I was a little surprised by it. And then right after that event occurs, you pick up like a page in the instruction booklet that I believe is page 2 and 3. So you get to put in your book, you open it up to see what's on it. And page 2 and 3 is like art. You know how like the instruction book will have like a big illustration in the beginning before it gets
fun
to the words.
Depictions of Link.
Exactly. Well, what's depicted in this art makes it clear, like, oh, I was supposed to know that shit was coming all along. Because it's like, oh, that's a picture of what just happened, but it was... But if you had the book, you would have seen that at the beginning. Oh, this recontextualizes everything that I thought I knew about the plot. Because the plot, you don't know. It's not in English. You don't know. And that was really fucking cool. And then the other thing is... I'm not going to spoil this.
Can I just guess? Do you need it to solve puzzles?
You do need it to solve puzzles, Joe, but this is... I've heard people say that this is one of the best single puzzles in any video game, and I kind of agree. And I will name the puzzle. This is not a spoiler. This phrase is written in the rule book in English, the instruction booklet in English numerous times. The Golden Path puzzle.
That's what I'm on.
The Golden Path puzzle. You want to be on it. When you solve the Golden Path puzzle, it feels like, oh my, the feeling is incredible. And I don't want to get too specific about it, but it is a puzzle that could only exist with this instruction booklet gimmick. And when you first click with what it's asking, like what the puzzle actually is, I was like, my estimation of the game like went up twofold, because I was like, this is a good Zelda with some funny little gimmicks that are nice. And then when I realized like what the Golden Path was and like what it was referring fucking to all along, I was like, oh, this is a great game. And it's also 11 hours and there's no post game. I'm done. I'm never going to play it again. I love that.
You're telling me there's no battle tower?
No battle tower, dude. No multiplayer. No, I think there's a new game plus, but like, come on. Like, I'm going to do that? I already solved the Golden Path.
Another game I thought was 15 hours, but ended up actually being like only 6, and Tom pointed this out as I was talking about Katana Zero. And I was like, oh, that game's really fucking good. I explained, like, oh, it's really neat because you slow down time. But at the end of every room, you see the CCTV footage of you go in sicko mode. And obviously, it doesn't have the time slowing down on the video, so you look super cool. And you were like, yeah, I played it. I told you about it. Also, it's 6 hours. So, for a good, not too long game, I recommend Katana Zero. I could have swore it was longer.
No, it's real short.
Yeah, you know why I thought it was longer? Because in the game, there's a drug that if you take it, it like sends you to like the suffering dimension because it's like you experience time differently.
Yeah, the reason your guy can slow down time is because like you are a super soldier who got dosed with like Chronos juice or some shit that lets you slow down time. And like
it's the Max Payne gene. You have the Max Payne gene.
The thing is, like, if you overdose on Chronos juice, time slows down infinitely, so that every moment that passes, your mind experiences it as infinity time, endless eternity time.
And like, as an OD, like this is an OD experience while that's happening.
And yeah, there is a plot point where like some goon gets like shot up with like a jillion cc's of Chronos time, and you're like, oh, that guy like is in hell forever.
Yeah.
It's like so like, oh my god.
Yeah. It's So it's 12 hours if you play it twice, which I recommend you do. It's good.
It's good.
The story is very efficient. So okay. Here's the pitch. If you got 15 hours, Cult of the Lamb. You got 11 hours, Tunic. You have 6 hours or 12 hours, Katana Zero.
Yeah. And if you can slow down time, you can play them all.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all the time we have for Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I've been Joe, an Anime Sicko.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.